Welcome to our show, Tough Talks Unlimited, co-hosted by Derek Bowles and myself, Michael Garland. In this show, we're going to hear from world-class leaders and innovators, people who are willing to have positive conversations and share their insights on tough talks to get you through tough times. Let's get started.
So first and foremost, I just love having this conversation with one of my mentors, one of the people who influenced me at a very high level, Mike Garland. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Derek Bowles. I'm doing great.
Well, a couple things pop into my mind because people don't understand the scope of our show. Our show is Tough Talks Unlimited. And the reason why we call it that, because it's tough talks for tough times, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we're working on right now.
That's absolutely true.
You know, I'm just excited that we get a chance to connect because there's so many things that, you know, I think you can share, you can provide an insight really for the people who listening in to really provide some insight on how do you overcome when you deal with tough times.
Absolutely. Well, you know, as often, even back in the day when I was coaching you, when you were that fat fifth grader, you know, I always shared with you guys, you know, the essence of life is struggle.
Right.
We're born into this world through struggle.
Right.
We have to struggle to get out of our mother's womb, and our mother has to struggle to help deliver us into the world. And, you know, the biggest problem I see facing a lot of people, and I think this alludes to the mental health issues that we have. People don't want to embrace struggle.
Sure.
And that's life.
Sure.
That's life itself.
Absolutely. Well, before we go any further, I just want to honor our little friend that's hanging out with us. I don't know what his intention is, but this is Prince. And Prince is, man, he's running the show right now.
That's him. You know, D, I asked him did he want to be on the show, and he gave me that look. He's looking at me right now. You know, people don't know this, but he's one of the world's first talking dogs. And, he does it in his own way, but he's a good dude.
Oh yeah.
And you know what? He has a story of his own. One day we'll bring him down here with my lovely wife Cynthia, and we'll talk about the struggles he had.
Tell his story. Man. Well, I'm just excited that we have an additional guest on the show today, and it's good. But you know, I want to go back a little bit because obviously, I want to go back to when you coached me in high school, right? Belleville High School. You know, and Coach. He continues to beat me up about being the fat fifth grader, but the truth is, Coach Garland was so far ahead of pretty much all of the coaches that coached at the high school level, and he did a phenomenal job for you guys. So, Coach, give us a little bit of background. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how you really built that program to become one of the top programs in the country.
Well, D, you know, out of struggle, you know, that's where, you know, everything came up out of struggle.
Right.
You know, we had to, first of all, we didn't have our school didn't have the resources that we needed to get to the level that we eventually became.
Right.
And, you know, I knew that if this was going to work, that was going to be pretty much on me until I could build a team, not just the players, but a team of coaches, a team of school administrators, a team of community members.
Right.
And, you know, it was, you know, it was leadership firsthand. And sometimes, and often, you know, when back during your days when you were living in Idaho, and you know, you used to call me all the time and say, Coach, what was it?
Right.
What is it?
Right.
What did you do?
Right.
Well, at that time, I didn't know because I was thrust into it and I had to get things done. So I didn't have time to go back and reflect and think about the things that the things that I had done. But the one thing that was more important than anything, the whole piece was about relationship-driven leadership.
Yes.
Without relationship, you have nothing. You have nothing at all. You have to have relationship. I don't care what it is. I mean, we had Prince sitting here. He acts and behaves for us in a reasonable manner because he has a relationship with us.
Sure.
And when people, if you're supposed to be a leader, or if you're head of an organization, or if you're the head of your own family, if you dismiss the leadership, if you dismiss the relationship part, your whole thing is going to fall apart.
Absolutely. Well, I will say this, and again, as you can tell, even from this conversation, he coached me in high school, so I'm going back in time. That's 1991, and I don't think people really understand. Even though we didn't see each other, even though we talked via telephone before we got into this Zoom thing and all that stuff, we still had a phenomenal relationship. And I just want to echo what you're saying, because what you did at Belleville High School made us one of the top programs in the state of Michigan. You also did that at Michigan State. Talk a little bit about that, because that pops out to me, man.
Well, I actually, coached there with one of my best friends, Tom Izzo.
Right.
Our relationship goes way back. As a matter of fact, the reason that I was able to come from high school to the highest level of college basketball was because of the relationship that I had built with him when I was in college.
That's powerful right there. Now, I want you to say that again, because the people who are tuning into the show, think about what he just said. Like, he just shared something that is invaluable about honoring relationships. Like, if you honor people and treat people and love on people and do it the right way, there's no telling what can happen.
Absolutely. And once Tom and I started working together, and it was always, I want to say, he made me part of his dream. And it goes way back. That's a whole nother story.
Sure.
But he always had great vision. Here's what's interesting, and I talk about that in my book, Agoji, which will be coming out here in probably this fall.
Okay.
But I talk about it that in the book about people who have vision. We all are gifted with different things.
Sure.
Some is the gift to discern. Some is a gift to speak. Some is the gift to, have vision.
Right.
And he's a great visionary.
Sure.
And when you start talking about him and his success, you're really talking about his ability to have vision as to where he wants to go and where he wants to take his team and the entire program. And he's been great because not has he taken his team and the staff and the basketball program, but he has also embraced the community and the university.
Right.
And made it all a part of his vision as to what it should be. And that whole thing is really about success for you, success for me, success for us as a whole.
Yeah.
And we often would meet like 7 a.m. in the morning. And the topics would go from politics to basketball to pro basketball to whatever it may be.
Sure.
Social problems.
Absolutely.
Politics. We talked it all. And in those conversations, we always sought answers to what we could do to help make the world better.
Right.
And our thing was, if we continue to build these young men into viable citizens that could go out into society and use that same message, and the same thought processes that we use to win at Michigan State, we could help make the world a winner.
Well, and I'm gonna say, based on, you know, the history that you guys have had, from winning a championship in 2000 to the multiple Big Ten championships, Final Four appearances, like, you guys have done some unbelievable stuff, man. And you know, I love that, you know, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I think the show that we have right now, Tough Talks for Tough Times, right? Because really what we're doing is, the people that you're still connected to are doing some phenomenal things. And I think we're leveraging the opportunity to educate the world to make it a better place.
Yeah.
And so before we go any further, I really want you to, you know, you retired.
Right.
A lot of people know Coach was unbelievable asset to Michigan State men's basketball, high level, and now he retired. But I really want you to talk about what happened after you retired.
Well, you know, the story itself is really long, but as you well know, on August 27th of last year, I went into cardiac arrest, and I was actually dead for 18 minutes. And had not it been for two good Samaritans, Jason Blackwell and John Drolet, it would have probably been a curtain call for me.
Wow.
Because they sustained me until the rest of my survival team. And I don't like to call those guys first responders, because they do more than just respond.
Sure.
They save lives.
Absolutely.
So I like to refer to them as a survival team. And that's what they did for me. And, you know, once they got me to the hospital, and, you know, Dr. Gandhi and, you know, all the other physicians and all of the great people over at McLaren Hospital just stuck with me and, you know, got me going. And along with, I can't fail to mention, but, you know, the favor of God brought me back to life. You know,
absolutely
brought me back to life. And, you know, it was challenging. But, you know, that part, wasn't the toughest part, because once I went out, I didn't know anything.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, I didn't feel it. So there was no pain or anything.
Right.
You know, when you have cardiac arrest, they call it the silent killer, because there's no warnings. It's not a heart attack.
Right.
Heart attacks, you know, you feel you know, your chest it goes up your arms and your chest, your head, you know. So I didn't know anything about that. The toughest challenge for me was after my surgery on October 10th, where, you know, I was under for about 5 straight hours.
Right.
And when I got out of recovery, my surgeon, Dr. Gandhi, wouldn't let them pull the tube out. They intubated me, and I had they had intubated me, you know, so that they could get air into my lungs. But they also stuck a tube down there to help bring up the fluids from the operation. And I'm telling you, I've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and, you know, people refer to me as a tough guy, and I would like to think that, but I'm telling you, D, that broke me down.
Well, I want to jump in. I want to jump in because, first and foremost, we're just happy that we have you, man. I mean, I don't know if people understand. Like, we're very appreciative, and we appreciate The fact that you're still around and you can share your insight and thoughts and just, help build our world, because we living in a time now where we gotta figure out a solution, right? Especially with everything that's happening. And so, I want to go back a little bit further into this conversation, because you're doing some unbelievable stuff right now. You started a nonprofit that I think is important, and I really want to talk about that, because the nonprofit is well, I'm gonna let you tell.
Okay. Well, we call our nonprofit Champions of the Heart, and I named it Champions of the Heart, and I actually stole the name away from Ann Emmerich, who is a television commentator on Channel 10 here, a local channel, and she has received like national awards for the 7-minute stint she did on me, and I must say myself is very, very powerful. And she's allowed me to use that name for my foundation.
Wow.
And the scope of it all is that my wife and I, Cynthia, we want to set up a foundation that brings awareness, number one, to what cardiac arrest really is, and how dangerous it can be.
Yeah.
And how absolutely it becomes fatal if you don't have someone there that actually knows the proper procedures of CPR. How to do it correctly.
Sure.
That's what saves lives. There were 10,000 people this year in the state of Michigan that actually, went into cardiac arrest.
Wow, that's a big number.
Only 600 of us made it. Yes. And I don't think,
wow,
people out here, they don't realize that.
Wow.
And it's
those numbers are unbelievable, right? Man.
But one of the things that can combat those numbers and raise the survival rate is just simple knowing how to do CPR, having someone there to actually administer CPR. And normally when you have something like that to happen, you are around a group of people. Sure. It's just who knows it. And then secondly, or should I say third, is that we want to also bring awareness to the importance of having AEDs, which is the electrical system that shocks your heart.
Right.
That is even a better way of restoring your heartbeat and bringing you back to life.
Sure.
And and the need to have those devices in all types of places other than just a hospital.
Sure.
Or I would say and in office buildings or administration buildings. But what I found through research is that a lot of times the AED, there's one there, nobody knows where it's at.
Nobody know where it's at.
And even worse, is the fact that, underprivileged communities, there's no AEDs.
Man.
And there's no, nobody that really knows CPR.
Right.
And that's dangerous. And then we're talking about a group of people that have the highest health issue.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
my wife and I are out to, bring that awareness, but also to provide some support for those, those underprivileged areas that need AEDs, whether it be in their churches, their schools,
absolutely,
rec centers, whatever it may be. And also to provide some, free training in CPR itself for those individuals.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I love what you're doing. I think there is value in educating, especially communities that need those type of resources, right? That's super important. But not only that, just again, I love that you're trying to make the world a better place, Coach, and that's what you've always done. That's what you continue to do, and so I'm gonna shift gears just one more time because there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but having this opportunity to chat with you, one of the things that pops out in my mind is so you retired. Spending some time with the family, with with your grandchildren, with your lovely wife. Like there's a number of things going on, but what do you have next? Like, what's next for Coach Garland? Yeah, that's a real. What's next?
Well, audience, what he's referring to is a couple of days ago, I had an opportunity to speak to Cass Tech High School, which is the high school that my wife went to, and this current basketball season, they were able to win their first state championship under Steve Hall, their coach. And I talked to them about what's next.
Yep, what's next?
Now you've won the high school state championship. What's next? What's in line for you?
Yep.
What's next if you've been playing basketball all your life, and all of a sudden you're faced with the fact that the air's been let out of the ball, and you won't be able to play basketball again.
Right.
So what's next?
Yeah. What are you
gonna do? What are you gonna do? So
I gotta flip it. So what's next for you?
Well, what's next for me is you've gone there. I want to make impact. I want to make impact on the world itself, and that's why when you came to me with the idea of, doing a podcast, I thought about it. And as you recall, at first, I didn't want it to have anything to do with it.
Right.
But, through thought and prayer, the Lord pressed it upon my heart that this should be something that I should do, because we can touch, nowadays through social media, we can touch the entire world.
We can touch the world.
The impact that you can have, and the knowledge and the values and the principles that you can share with other people can be so helpful in making our world a better place.
Well, and I'm going to add to what you just listed, because I think one of the things is, and this is why people love you so much, is the moral compass. And that's one of the things that I know Coach brings to the table, and he's always had an unbelievable moral compass, and it's really about doing what's right. So, I'm excited that we have an opportunity to really share a little bit about your story, man. I think it's powerful. It's powerful.
Right. Well, indeed, I've enjoyed it. It brings back some reflection, and I think about it a lot. And that first question you asked me, how did I go about doing it when I first took over that program at Belleville? And I think about the days that I would pick you guys up in the old red station wagon. That was like our taxi cab, and I was an Uber driver long before Uber.
Before Uber even made this run. Before it even made this run.
The guy had to, if a guy had to get up to the school for driver's ed, Coach would come and pick him up.
Right.
If a guy had to, go, to the clinic for some reason, and Coach would come pick you up.
Right.
And it's amazing. What's funny? And Rod Fisher, who took over was our assistant coach. Him and Dennis Easley. What's funny is, everybody talk about, even to this day, talk about the old red station wagon. Well, when I got to Michigan State, they gave me a car. And that was the first brand new car I had ever had in my life.
Okay.
And guess what color it was? It was red.
It was red.
So I knew then I must be in the right place.
Yeah.
But it was a red car, but I didn't have to worry about getting out sometimes and, checking the engine and worrying about it overheating and all that kind of stuff. And the muffler, remember, sometimes the muffler would drop off and climb up under there and set it back. But you know what? I wouldn't trade those days for anything. All the tea in China or all of the gold that there is in the world.
Absolutely.
Because it was, there was a lot to be learned and a lot to be gained from that situation.
Well, obviously, I'm just excited that we're having the opportunity to have this conversation. Tough talks for tough times. You get a chance to hear from a guy who everybody in the state of Michigan loves and adores. And, the biggest thing that I want to make sure I share with those of you who tuned in to listen to this show today, Coach Garland is a servant. And I'm going to leave you with that.